We are live again on Friday, is it? Still Friday, it seems like. Friday, May 9th, 2025, House Transportation. We are talking about the miscellaneous motor vehicles law. We sort of closed up right before lunch. My perspective is that I want to make sure the committee sees where we're at, that we have going through all of the sections that came over to us from on S-123. We have checked off and completed either adjusting, editing, adding, subtracting, pulling out a few sections. Everything that was there has been addressed. All of the sections that were there, our numbers have changed because we pulled out some sections. But would I at least agree across the committee that we've been through everything that's on S-123 and we have thumbs up pretty much every section in there?
Yes.
So now will be the time from here forward is if you want to move officially to add something to the bill, this is your chance to do that. We've heard 2 or 3 potential options and we know of at least one. So I would open that up to say, are we bringing anything else into the DMV bill? Or in the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill? So.
Are you looking for me to stand up?
I'm looking for you to say,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so,
So,
yes, I
yeah,
want you
all
to,
right.
I know you
So
want, I know you
there's
have
an
one, so let's
there's
do
an
it.
amendment out there, which has my name. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. And it's operating the bicycles around intersections. Primarily that's the piece. And I just want to say a few things about it. Number one, this has been in front of this committee now for 3 years. And we last year asked the DMV to put in a report on the possibility of doing this, which they provided to us. We've had a lot of testimony this year. We opened it up to everyone who wanted to provide testimony. We had indications there were a couple people that were not for it, who in the end either were then neutral or decided they weren't going to testify. So we've also had a couple people change from being against now being for it. Everyone that we've had testify was either positively for it or neutral, including the Agency of Transportation. We had the Agency of Transportation present. We had the State Police, Department of Public Safety present. And we had the 3 primary biking groups in Vermont, Local Motion, who does probably the most education on biking of anybody for Vermont. We had the State Mountain Bike Association, positive. We had the Kingdom Trails Bike Association, positive. We had Burlington City come in, they're for it. Burlington Organization for Bike and Ped, the council was for it. We had data prior to after the state did their report, there was additional data from the National Highway Transportation Safety Group, who in December sent a report, positive. The safety side is positive for the 11 states that have this, with about a 25% improvement in safety on intersections. There was a question about children, and it was noted that that data included all bicycle incidents, which would include children, so it doesn't show any increased risk to children. Our state police said having standardized rules throughout Vermont clearly was better on their side. So they were for that. It certainly will enhance our bicycle tourism. What also noted that when we rate our state in safety, we're 26th in the nation, so we have a long way to go for safer roads. This supports the $21 million we're investing in bike ped activities. And I think there's a theme here over the last 3 years, and that is initial testimony was like, yeah, some people for it, I'm not quite sure, I'm a little worried. And I would say the same was true for me. When I first heard about this, I was against it for my own reasons. And then over the last couple of years, as I've ridden my bike, I've realized this intersection would be a lot safer if I could push that button. This would be a lot easier for me to get through these intersections if I could do it this way. So, you know, I'm just pointing to this committee that we might have our own opinions on things, which we bring, but clearly all the testimony, and we opened it up to a lot of people, a lot of organizations, national, state, local folks. And by far, this is positive. There's no indication whatsoever that this would that this would be not a safe move, that this is a positive move for bikers, for drivers, for everybody, to clear those intersections in a much more efficient way. So that's what I'll say with that.
Representative White?
I just want to follow up on that. You know, I too was a little hesitant at first regarding the Idaho stop. I felt like the testimony last week was very convincing, particularly, you know, the highway safety report showing that this improves safety in the states that have adopted this. So I found that very convincing. And, you know, I also think that I really like how we will have a unified law throughout the state of Vermont. You know, we're already doing this in Burlington, and that this would be great for the state of Vermont from a tourism, you know, messaging opportunity that we are a bike-friendly state. I think this law kind of goes in line with being a bike-friendly state. It doesn't cost us anything. So it feels like a positive thing that we can put into the DMV bill and, you know, maybe get a little positive PR for the state, increase safety, and be uniform about our laws throughout the state, so there's less confusion. So I feel strongly in support of this, and I urge the committee members to support it also.
Representative Burke?
I guess for those comments, I was opposed to it too, because I'm the person who's like, you've got to follow all the traffic rules because you want to set a good example, because a lot of people do not. So stop at a stop sign, even if nobody was there. And, you know, and I think the issue is really the safety issue. And, you know, bicyclists are really, you know, we take our lives in our hands, people on a bike, really. You know, you think about the vulnerability, termed a vulnerable user, with a car. And why not give bicyclists a little bit of an advantage that might improve safety? That's all. I mean, I think that that's really what this is about. And I don't know if the objections have to do with, well, we're not following the traffic rules, it's going to be confusing. But I think, you know, given time, we'll just get used to this is what people do. And then if you get more people biking, you're going to have safer roads too. And people will understand, oh, these are the procedures that bicyclists follow here. So I'm just feel like it's something we can do to improve safety.
Representative Wyland?
Yes, I think that this will make it much safer for cyclists on bicycles and also just generally at intersections. And one of the things that really got my attention when we heard testimony was, and I have experienced this in real life myself as a cyclist, how irritated drivers can be when you have a cyclist who's obviously going much more slowly, having to get back flipped in and then start up, and you might lose the light. There's a lot of things that irritate drivers, and cyclists are never the winners in an altercation with a driver ever. And I think if we were going to be sharing the roads, this is a common sense thing that makes that better for everybody and increases everybody's safety at the same time.
Representative McCoy.
So, all of you know that I'm opposed to this bill, and
Addition.
I heard-
It's not just an addition. It's not its own bill yet.
I think-
Amendment or addition to the section.
The amendment,
Sorry, I
yes.
shouldn't have interrupted, but
I think it was solidified, maybe I misheard what the state trooper said the other day, but he specifically said that we need to legislate to the lowest common denominator, and he felt that was children on bicycles. So all I keep hearing in this legislature is that children's brains aren't fully developed until 25, and they don't have, the wherewithal to really understand things. So that solidified it for me. If I have a 6-year-old that thinks that, maybe I can make it. I know my light is red, but that car seems pretty far away from me, and I'm going to fly through this intersection. And I get it. And also the confusion of obeying the signals. I live in rural Vermont on Route 30, which is a narrow road with maybe this much for a bike lane. And we have bicyclists, I don't know what you call them, like 20 of them that come through, the tours that come through up Route 30. And they do not follow the 2 people abreast. They are taking up the road and they will not move, and people get pissed off. And now you're going to have them flying through the intersection because they all want to stay together. And the light is now, they're going to go anyway, and they're going to keep going. I absolutely disagree with this law. If you're going to make them follow every law, follow them. I did tell Representative Couch from Heinsberg, if there was a section in this amendment that allowed bicyclists to press the crosswalk and cross with the crosswalk, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But I absolutely disagree with that, allowing them to make the decision if that light is red, that they can go. Because I know what they're going to do is they're going to slow and they're going to think, I can make it. I see there's a car there, but I know I can make it through before that car goes through. And, I don't know where, Idaho is a big, wide open state. We are not. A lot of curves, a lot of hills, a lot of everything in Vermont. So I still am opposed to this bill. Amendment, I apologize, amendment.
my bad. Representative Wells, and then.
Initially, when I heard this, I was neutral. I feel for bikes. They are defenseless out there. They can get nailed. And I don't ride a bike, but I drove motorcycles my whole life. Still do. That's a whole different thing, I know. I talked to Jason Bingham, a friend of mine. He's a Newport City police chief. He talked about the lowest common denominator for legislation. And his phrase was, I don't need 10-year-olds going through stop signs on their bikes. So I'm against it. Now.
Representative Burke, did you have your hand back up again?
Well, I was just gonna say, we also need to remember that not all cyclists are like, cyclists who like riding, along tours. A lot of people ride bikes for transportation. And want to ride bikes for transportation. And want to feel safe. There's a lot of issues in our town about that, and a nice group that's working on that. Bad Work Coalition for Active Transportation, but there are a lot of issues around vulnerability and also transportation uses a bike for transportation.
Just a sec, I want to make sure Molly, or Representative Burke is I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm done.
No, you're sure. We're- I'm sorry, I just
Something hit me,
wanna-
I don't know
I
what.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
you're all set. I'm sorry.
not
I didn't mean to
joking.
bring attention to it. It's your floor until you say otherwise. So.
Thank you for your concern.
I had
Representative Casey?
I had asked the law enforcement officer about if he had ever given anybody on a bicycle a ticket. He said no. He looked like he'd been around for a while. It wasn't his first day. So I'm more concerned about I like to see things kind of consistent, you know what I mean? It's like a stop sign's a stop sign. It's not a yield sign. I just don't, that's that. I guess I'm gonna go on and on. You know where I'm at, so.
Does anybody else have anything? Is Chloe there? I just want to make sure if she can,
Yeah, I'm here.
you don't have
I
to
can-
speak. I just want to make sure you were there because, but you can speak. I just want to make sure that's all. I
Yeah,
can't tell if you
I-
raised your hand or not.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll say that
And I shouldn't have called her Chloe. Shit.
I have, in listening to the testimony, not heard any substantive critiques or concerns that haven't been addressed. I heard the VSP testimony as in support of this amendment, and my own personal experience, I also suggest support for this. I think that safety is a really big concern, and the fact that a national study indicates that this actually improves traffic safety means that this is a really big opportunity for us to do something to make the streets safer in Vermont. And I didn't hear anything that makes me think we shouldn't proceed with it. So after all the testimony in committee and also written testimony, I feel very clear and strong that this would be a good step forward for Vermont.
Does anybody else have anything they want to add? I guess it would be if somebody wants to, or this would be what we've done with all the other sections is we're ready to take a vote.
Make a motion to approve the amendment.
All those in favor of the amendment? One, we would do thumbs up, but we're voting. One to Chloe, are you going to use one of your?
I'm in support.
It's not one of your
Yes, thumbs
votes.
up.
Yes,
thumbs
your
up.
thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means the rest are we have to raise our hands or not, but if you're opposed, I guess, your thumbs is down or your hand is up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everybody see 5 to 5. So we, at 5 to 5, we're not going to be able to add it to this year's miscellaneous motor vehicles bill. It is, that's what it is. And we took a lot of testimony. I appreciate your effort. Everybody will be back here. We'll see where it goes from there. We're going to, I'm sorry, I have another.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as I recall, the Pouch Amendment had two pieces of it. There was the Idaho stop, but there was also enhancing crosswalks. And I wanted to move that we consider that portion of the amendment separately and see if there is support for moving that portion along, even if it's very clear there's not support at this time for the Idaho stop. So I just wanted to.
If you'd like to
Yeah,
comment on that.
I'll comment. I mean, I thought that, that would be a possibility, but all of these changes require an education piece. In fact, this amendment had an entire year of education prior to it working, because I knew that was a key piece of having it be successful. So I'm afraid if we go with, let's say, just a crosswalk, then we have to have that education out there. And then, if we're gonna piecemeal this over the next 10 years, because I expect it will eventually pass. Because the data's there. But, so I would, say that, having to do all that education for one piece, I don't know. And I'm not sure it can be split at this point anyway, so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comment about that?
Could you remind me what that does? I know it just sounds like.
Allows bikers to utilize the pedestrian crosswalks,
Okay,
which they can't do now.
So If I could, thank you. So this would be, in instances where there is a crosswalk, which is, you know, a smaller universe of places, unfortunately, currently. This would allow somebody on a bicycle to cross when the pedestrians cross. So they would be clearing the intersection, but I think in a way that makes intuitive sense to everybody
Cross same time.
at the same time. I mean, I think it would not be confusing to a driver to have cyclists clearing the intersection. And this really made quite a bit of sense to me because of the testimony that we heard from somebody in Burlington who described not being able to do that, having a queue of cars behind him. He was first in line to cross the street, having to get clipped back in and then, you know, go and then annoying all sorts of people who couldn't even see the reason for the delay. And so that just seemed to make intuitive sense that when the crosswalk is going, that you at least
Move everybody.
allow a bicycle, move everybody that's not a car, you know, because, and we all have the experience of sometimes it can take a long time for a pedestrian to clear the crosswalk. So if you're then creating another delay by the bicyclist, then, you know, you're potentially causing somebody to sit through several cycles in a light. And, you know, and that's, you know, potentially more emissions, you know, too, you know, idling and stuff. And, you know, we have, these are challenges that we face in our town because we have, you know, intersections that are small and we're all trying to get through them and it can get complicated. So this is sort of a daily experience for,
Everybody moving at once.
Yeah.
Sounds logical.
you know,
Well, I guess I would say at this point, I can't tell you whether we're gonna vote on the whole bill or not. I really need you to, we have to wait for the next conference committee. It's Friday afternoon. I get that. I will try to find an answer to that in the next bit as to how the T-bill may or may not apply, or whatnot. But, so I need you to hang around a little bit longer. I will try to do that as quickly as I can. And we are adjourned